afternoon, and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Now, it is Thursday, the 16th of January, 2025. This is program number 1306 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calixte Jr. Now, of course, in addition to radio, 101.1 FM, you can also get us on our website, rcisanusia.com. We are also streaming live on Facebook. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family. If you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also use our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. You can call in on that number. You can also message in if you don't want your voice on air. And again, that WhatsApp number is 724-0008. Now, today I want to send out some birthday greetings. First, Mr. Shanari Clark, happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a really wonderful and amazing birthday celebration. Also, sending birthday greetings to Vernette Prosper. Happy birthday to you. Wishing you a fantastic birthday. And it's also the birthday of St. Lucia's representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Menissa Rambali. So happy birthday to her as well, hoping that she's having a wonderful birthday. Now, some history for today. We look back to the year 27 BC. The title Augustus was bestowed upon Gaius Julius Caesar, or Kaiser Octavian, and that was by the Roman Senate. In the year 1412, on this day, the Medici family was appointed the official banker of the papacy. In the year 1547, Ivan the Terrible, at the time aged 17, crowned himself the first Tsar of Moscow. 1605, the first edition of a book entitled El Ingenioso Hidalgo Don Quixote de la Mancha, the book one of Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes, was published in Madrid, Spain. 1793, on this day, French King Louis XVI was sentenced to death by the National Convention during the French Revolution on this day. 1913, the British House of Commons accepted Home Rule for Ireland, but the Great War, World War I, got in the way of that happening. 1919, on this day, the 18th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution authorizing the prohibition of alcohol was ratified by a majority of United States. And in 1920, on this day, saw the first assembly of the League of Nations, and that was held in Paris, France. We now move on to our dish of the day.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today, for this Thursday. And of course, we're just gone over the midpoint for January. No doubt. Quite often, some people characterize January as the longest month of the year. Of course, coming after the holidays and the celebrations and the festivities of the Christmas, New Year's period. And then things seem to get very slow and drawn out into the month of January. And so, of course, it's quite often is characterized as that. Now, unfortunately for us today, we want to extend our condolences to the family of the late Mr. Martin Andre Satney. And Mr. Satney, unfortunately, transitioned yesterday And of course, he will certainly be missed by his wife and his sons and the extended family, Satni family, at his passing. Mr. Satni was certainly a consummate professional. He made a significant contribution to his country, St. Lucia, over the many years that he served in different areas of service. He, of course, was first and foremost, we should mention an agricultural engineer, having shortly after leaving St. Lucia, doing his studies at St. Mary's College, A-level college, went on scholarship to the island of Cuba. Just yesterday, we were in fact speaking about the importance of the contribution of Cuba to healthcare and the development of St. Lucia in terms of education. And Martin, in fact, availed himself of the opportunity to pursue studies in agricultural engineering over in Cuba. And of course, it also meant that he was fluent in Spanish as well, and came back to St. Lucia and made lots of contributions in the Ministry of Agriculture in the first instance. In fact, eventually rising to the head of that agency as permanent secretary, also in the Ministry of Sustainable Development. He also served as permanent secretary in that agency, which of course is very much aligned to environment and management of land resources, which of course was something that he was in fact trained in. And he also, of course, had a very strong sense of service, a sense of giving back, a sense of equity and justice. And he pursued that through many different ways, including that of being active in the trade union movement in St. Lucia, representing the interest of the rights of workers, and in fact, even became the president of the St. Lucia Civil Service Association, the CSA. And of course, he represented the interest of workers over the years in that way, and continued to be very ardent. And he was also an individual who was very much always keen to express his point of view. He was not one who declined from speaking his mind. And so that, of course, is very vital in a society sometimes when we quite often frown from having different viewpoints, if in fact that may embarrass individuals or maybe cause them cause issues from a political perspective. And Martin was not one of those who shied away from speaking his mind. So he will certainly, without doubt, be missed by many of his friends, associates, family, those who made those whose lives he in fact touched in so many different ways. It was a very good tribute which was prepared by also another former permanent secretary, Mr. Cletus Springer, gentleman who also, of course, served St. Lucia many different fora, but also worked at the level of the Organization of American States, OAS, and of course knew Martin from a professional standpoint as well. And he wrote a piece on Facebook, in fact, entitled "Another Martin Goes to Rest," hearkening to the fact that, of course, not too long ago, we also lost Dr. Martin Didier to, unfortunately, another cancer victim there. He writes as follows: I last saw Martin Didier about a month ago outside the Rodney Bay branch of First National Bank. I was faced with a dilemma. It was clear that he was unwell, and he'd lost a shocking amount of weight. In fact, were it not for his his trademark lispy speech, I probably would not have recognized him. I clearly wanted to ask if he was okay, but I didn't want him to think that I was prying. I wish I had. I might have offered words of courage and support. Now it's too late, as I learned minutes ago of his passing. A trained agricultural engineer, Martin made a solid contribution to St. Lucia's development in several capacities, including as president of the Civil Service Association, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, general manager of the Water and Sewage Company Limited, and manager coordinator of the Black Sigatoka Management Unit. He gave his all in each of his roles. During my time at the Ministry of Planning, we worked together on several STABEX projects, notably those aimed at revitalizing the agricultural sector following damage caused by Tropical Storm Debbie. Martin enjoyed a good joke, but generally, he was a no nonsense individual with firm personal convictions. He was a real revolutionary and a fearless trade union leader, as evinced by his resolute role in a nationwide strike in 1995. Another mark of his take no prisoners approach was his successful suit for wrongful dismissal brought against the government of St. Lucia. He'd been appointed on a 3-year contract, which was due to end in 2008, but was dismissed in 2007, 1 year after a change in government. The dismissal reeked of victimization. He contested it in court and won handsomely. Rest well, Martin. Your selfless contribution to St. Lucia's development is greatly acknowledged. I extend sincere condolences to Martin's wife and family. He now rests in peace. And so, certainly, we want to commiserate with the family at this time and to certainly express our condolences to his many, many friends as well, his former classmates, many of whom have taken to social media to post about him and the individual that he was. And of course, it's always difficult when we lose somebody who's relatively young. In fact, Martin is certainly not, at a point where we would have liked to have seen or expected that he would have transitioned over into the other side. But it is, of course, a reality that we all have to face, and certainly the importance of celebrating individuals and recognizing their contributions as they are alive certainly are very important lessons to take home at this time. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we will be touching on some issues in the news.
This has been The Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in and tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And we also have our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. Let's go to the phone lines at this time, taking our first call for the day. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. And what's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Hi, good afternoon, caller. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Good to hear your voice.
My topic is today is the population growth is going down and down and down in St. Lucia. So we already have what you call the brain drain.
Right.
And now our population is going down. So what are we going to do about it?
It's a real issue, caller. And in fact, I sort of made a comment, and I think it has some level of validity to it, that if in fact Mr. Trump is very keen, in fact, to send back persons to deport illegal immigrants, that may not necessarily be so bad a thing, depending on how the countries in the Caribbean can actually handle this return of individuals coming to the country, because all countries around the world are looking at the matter of human resources. How can they get talent? How can they get individuals to work in various sectors? And it's a major issue that, yes, we already are facing. And there are a number of factors, as you pointed out, that are making it even more challenging in terms of our population. We're seeing a significant amount of disease, and that's having impacts in terms of the amount of people dying. We're seeing issues of crime. So we're seeing health issues, crime issues, road issues in terms of accidents, killing of individuals. So that is, we're seeing a high mortality rate, increasing mortality rate, and a falling birth rate. And then on top of that, yes, as you pointed out, the issue of emigration. We're seeing a net emigration.
But I remember the first country I think that started with that birth rate was Japan. Japan put a law, and everything is law. It's how to carry out, and they said one child, a couple.
Oh no, that was China.
No, Japan started before China.
Oh, I don't.
After Japan start, then China come, one child, a couple. And then when the Chinese see what was happening, they said, no, we're going back to 2 children.
Yeah, and it perhaps was a little too late by the time they ended up doing
Japan
that.
taking African from Africa to come and work for them in Japan.
Well, Japan has generally been, yes, a very closed society, very homogenous society. And for a very long time, they did not really encourage immigration. But yes, that has been changing of late. And so they are becoming a little bit more welcoming. And we're seeing numbers rising, particularly from other Asian countries like the Philippines, for example. So a lot of Filipino workers are ending up in Japan now.
There is a lot of people in the Philippine country, and they'll get the amount they want in the Philippines. But I find in St. Lucia, so in St. Lucia, we keep saying, well, we don't have enough work and this, that, and the other. And then the St. Lucian, well, most of the world is copycat, because in my days, most people that used to have 5, 6, 7, 8. Some people even make 15 children in St. Lucia. 15.
Yeah.
And today, sometimes if I tell you, when I pass somewhere and I see a pregnant woman, I just look. I give it a second glance. I don't know why, for what reason, where I pick up that. But you hardly see women pregnant in St. Lucia. You there with me?
I'm there with you. Yes. Yeah,
I give it a second glance.
It is a serious challenge. I mean, we're at about, I think, maybe about 2,000 births a year, and sometimes I think that figure has even gone below that. And so when you consider that your mortality, your death rate has been relatively stable at about 1,000, but that might even be going up a little bit now. I don't know what the latest figures are. But so basically you have a net natural increase of about 1,000 now, right? And it's even less than that because then you have emigration. So if you look at the last census from 2022, if we were to go by that and look at the increase between the last 2 census periods, so let's say between 2010, which was when we had one census, and then the most recent one, 2022, if you average out the annual increase in the population, it works out to be about 500 a year. So basically, we're increasing at about the rate of 500 a year, but that might actually not even show what is the current rate, because that's just an average across the 12-year span. it may very well be suggesting, of course, that you're seeing a falling number. So it might even be less now, and so that is certainly very, very worrying, because a lot of a lot of things are based on assumptions about population, including our pension system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because if you have more people retiring than, and the workforce cannot pay enough pension,
yeah.
and that brings a lot of trouble in Europe because they tell you they'll have to put the pension age up.
Yes, and so there's this thing that a term that they use, which is the dependency ratio. How many persons are dependent on somebody who is working? And so dependents are the very, very young and the very old, right? Persons who've retired. And so there is clearly some concern when you're seeing that you're going to get a lot of people who are
Well,
retiring. Your
in
retirement rate is
England, the
is,
young
is
people
faster than the persons even entering the
did
workforce.
bring the pension to 70. Women was 60, men was 65.
Yeah.
But now the young people have to pension.
Even within the
When they
government
reach pension
service, the
age,
public
they
service,
bring
I
it to
think.
70,
Yeah.
and women 65.
Right. So a lot of countries have had to take those steps. It has not necessarily gone down very well in all countries. France, for example, has seen quite a number of strikes and a lot of pushback from unions regarding the matter of the retirement age. I think in the case of the public service, it's I think the government really does need to act about this one, which is retirement age of 55 is perhaps way, way, way too low, given the clear trends that we are seeing worldwide. Is it really wise when persons get to the age of 55, when they might be at their peak of career, to in fact, retire them out? So it's certainly there are a lot of considerations that have to be raised as to whether there'll be also adjustments in the coming years regarding the national retirement age, which was something that has been, controversial in the past, but it's a reality everywhere around the world. You are seeing that, and there's good reason, really, in my view, to also ensure that people are still working once they can function, properly, healthily, and in fact, it helps in terms of their overall health, to remain active, remain in the workforce. So it is something that I think we do need to very, very seriously look at, and almost it even immediately, because it's already a crisis, and it is going to be impacting on our ability to pay pensions, no doubt,
But
in the future.
what they're talking about really is they find that a lot of the people that pension already, they calling them to work in supermarket and big, they can work up to when they reach 70. But to me, when a man reach 65, and you go and work more than that, is from the cradle to the grave.
Well,
so I look
it depends. Right now, I mean, people are living pretty long lives. I mean, and that's the hope that your overall age, your death rate is going up. Your life expectancy is going upwards.
That's going up. That's going up.
So it's, although we're saying that it's going up, but then we're also seeing that amongst the younger generations, you're finding a lot of disease. The disease burden is high. So there is some suggestion that the next generation might live shorter lives than their parents, and so it's a very interesting period in terms of what we're dealing with.
Anyway, good afternoon, Mr. George.
All right then, caller.
And I have an important topic probably if I get the line tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll be looking out for that one, definitely.
Good afternoon.
Thanks very much for your contribution. And definitely in terms of fertility, as I mentioned, countries need to be above 2.1. That's about where they need to be able to replace their population. And right now, in the case of St. Lucia, we in fact have one of the lowest rates, I believe, in of fertility. We are at 1.4 births for every, and that's the way that is calculated is number of births per woman per female in a country, and that is one of the lowest in the world. Uh, so that should certainly give us a sense as to our current situation. Japan is 1.3, Italy 1.3. So those are countries that have been identified as, have been problematic in terms of their fertility rates for quite some time. We're at 1.4. They are, of course, China 1.2. And those that are a little bit worse than that, Singapore 1.1, South Korea 0.9. So the Asian countries, interestingly, of course, are having significant challenges with their populations. There are, of course, a number of countries that are over 2, and for the most part, those are countries in Africa and some parts of Asia, Central Asia, countries like Pakistan, for example, and Iraq, Islamic countries. They have pretty strong fertility rates. And of course, the growth that we're seeing right now in Africa is really as a result of these very, very strong fertility rates. A country like Nigeria, for example, has a fertility rate of 5. So on average, there are 5 births for every woman. In their lifetime. So that's really why Africa is likely to become such an important superpower or important power in the world in the decades to come. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. And what's on your plate today?
Yes, good afternoon. For the discussion on the decline in birth rate, can you play that song by Ashanti about St. Lucia getting low and the population grow?
Well, I'm sure Maureen might be able to hook us up on that one. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
It just shows how things change over the years, from a situation of, increasing, birth rate to a declining one.
Yeah, because in the 1970s and 80s, the whole push was to try to cut back on well, especially unplanned pregnancy, as it was termed, or teenage pregnancy was a major issue as well in those days, and yeah, we've come full circle, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks for that contribution, caller.
All right.
When I was born, I made that point before, in 1984. I think there were about over 4,000 births in St. Lucia. I think 4,300 births. And you look to what it is now, and it is, in a good year, we will get over 2,000 births. So it is certainly a major shift in the demographics over the past 30 years. And it is putting us in a situation right now. So our population is estimated to be about 172,000 people, and which is in fact not where we would have even projected it to have been earlier on. From what I recall, there was a actuarial assessment that had been done for St. Lucia's population for the NIC some years ago, and the expectation was that the population would be peaking somewhere at about 212,000, somewhere in the 2030s, I believe. And that was the projection then. But at the rate that we're going right now, we may not be even likely to get to that 200,000 count. So let's take another call before we head to the phone lines. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks, caller. How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, first matter, all our business. I'd like to commiserate with the family and friends of Mr. Satney.
Yes,
I had
indeed.
the honor and privilege of working with him during his distinguished career, you
Mm-hmm.
know, especially in the agriculture and water sector.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And has your father called anything, or he's going to give the eulogy, whatever?
I don't know that he's going to give the eulogy.
But yeah, he has
Uh,
called and said anything. So I know he
he
was one of your father's trusted generals.
he will write. I'm sure he will write something on about him.
Yeah, he should. Yes, certainly, because I know he had a lot of confidence in Satney.
Yes.
In fact, he prepared Satney to get into the water sector, into Wasco.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Satney was a water engineer, but I'm thinking he went out to do some postgrad studies in water management and other things like that. Yeah, your father was instrumental in that, So yeah, your father had a lot of confidence in him,
Mm-hmm.
Your father knew him over a period of time in agriculture and so on and so forth.
And I suppose in the CSA as well, because he was also.
And when you get
very
a
active.
testimony from Calixte George will take prisoners, yeah.
It seems that a lot of people are using this "take no prisoners" line, but anyways.
When Calixte George, if you can't, the way you're looking at things, you have to really, he's not an easy man to impress,
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes.
really. So if he feel you have something in you and he trusts you,
Mm-hmm.
you to be in on it is to fulfill what his objective is within a certain sphere.
Right.
And you have that confidence in you. That says a lot,
Mm-hmm.
Says a lot. But certainly, well, what can I say? He fought a good fight, and he walked the lonely. Now he has to walk the lonely night.
Mm.
So that's the nature of of life. I would say that's how it is. And I just hope that his family and more those close to him, more take the approach of celebrating his life rather than lamenting his death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be a better approach. Because I think that's what he did it for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yesterday I didn't hear you talk at all about you outlined Martin Luther King and thing. That was his birthday.
No. Sorry, we didn't get into that at all.
Boy, how you missed that, boy?
Yes.
I'm hearing you on the radio somewhere else, and I am hearing you saying about Ivan the Terrible.
Today. Oh Lord.
See, but don't tell me Calixte just talk about Ivan the Terrible, and he ain't talk about
Martin Luther King
yesterday.
Jr. Mm-hmm.
That is a conspicuous oversight, man.
Yes,
how that one happened? How that one slipped through, boy?
Yeah, and his birthday was yesterday, and his day as well, MLK Day. Yes.
Trump philosophy and DeSantis and these guys think working on you already, man. To bury the history, bury black history.
No.
That working on you already, man. You could see we're starting to bury back history, boy.
Oh boy.
Calixte.
No more Department of Education, so we
exactly. Yeah, very Black history is what they prescribe to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to learn. That's what you have to drill your children in.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take away charity from your heart. In the talk about it in say prayers as a pledge. Schools and take away the school feeding program. You know that kind of thing. Yeah. That's what it is. Forget your Black history. Like, slavery was just a figment of the imagination. You know, that's what it will be. Sooner or later, if we continue to go down that road for young black people coming up. Yeah, because I don't know. It's frightening, you Calixte. Yeah. Anyway.
An omission there on our part. Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, don't worry yourself. It happens. You know? It happens. Okay, my brother.
Okay, all the best then, caller. Thanks very much for that one. And now, of course, we are due for our weather report. So I think we're going to try to take in our weather report at this time, and we'll come back to some calls in just a bit. So hang in there.
Thank you very much, Calixte. We now take a look at the latest weather report, and it is made possible with the compliments of Island Style Talent Bar.
Island Style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island Style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We are tiles and king sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. Quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewport Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style. This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
Most certainly it is. It's now time we take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today for the 16th of January 2025. And the forecast to this hour is Lucius Frederick. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing between the east, northeast, and the east, near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour, becoming lighter at times. And the weather, fair skies, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. We turn now to the marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. For the Castries Harbor, high tide at 17 after 5 this afternoon. The low tide will be at 6 minutes before midnight. And presently, we are experiencing low tide at the Vieux Bay. The high tide will be at 24 minutes after 6 this evening. The seas are moderate to locally rough. The waves and northerly swells 5 to 7 feet, the same as 1.5 to 2.1 meters in open waters. There's an advisory out for small craft operators and sea bathers. You're advised to exercise caution that is due to above normal seas. For the Lesser Antilles, it's partly cloudy skies, becoming cloudy at times with widely scattered showers. And the weather summary: light to moderate easterly winds are expected across the Eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. And a southward drifting shear line and a low-level trough will cause occasional cloudy periods with showers over the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. And that's the official weather report. A reminder that there's an advisory out for small craft operators and sea bathers to exercise caution due to above normal seas. Please be guided. Thank you very much, Lucius, for the update. The weather was made possible by Island Style Talent Bar. Join us again in the morning at around 7:30 thereabout for our next official report on the station.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island Style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. him come alive in island style.
We have tiles and king sets, mixes and ground. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. Oh. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all at Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
Welcome back to our program here today at Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And we also can be reached on our WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. We started talking about, memorializing the life of Mr. Martin Satney. But in addition to that, the conversation has shifted a bit to population and issues of population growth. One of the big issues is, are we going to be willing to be more welcoming to persons from other parts of the Caribbean? That too is also, of course, a very important conversation, and how that is going to, of course, also pan out. And we've seen that, of course, across the Caribbean. There are an estimated 30,000 St. Lucians living in Martinique, in Barbados, of course, in Trinidad. There have been St. Lucians who went even to places like Cuba in the past to work in the sugar fields, and we've seen St. Lucians heading to Panama during the construction of the Panama Canal, and of course to the Guianas, both French Guiana and what was then British Guiana and Dutch Guiana, Suriname, over the years, even to Brazil, interestingly enough. Lots of movement of St. Lucians outward over the years, and of course the importance of inward movement as well, in terms of the way that the world is going. So lots of things to consider. And how do you attract good talent to your country? How do you ensure that your country is an attractive place to live? For a very long time, for example, Montserrat used to try to pitch itself as a good place for retirement, right? And in fact, retirement villas and those types of things were pretty popular there. Of course, there are other places that use those models, like that of Florida. South Florida, for example, attracts many retirees from New England and Canada, as people are looking for warmer climates to spend their twilight years. And that too is also something that has its potential benefits in terms of economic activity. And so even countries in Asia are now pushing those types of options, assisted living models, trying to get individuals to retire to their country. And of course, we've seen that over the years to some degree. We've got lots of people in the diaspora who, once they retire, they want to come back home. They want to settle back in the country of their birth. And that has certainly made a significant contribution over the years. But to make it even more broad and to actually get your country to be pushing that as part of its economic agenda is something that many countries are looking at. Barbados, I think, quite recently was trying to create some of these assisted living communities to be able to attract individuals. So although you're attracting individuals at the twilight periods, there is some good value from that too. And why? Because many of those individuals actually tend to be relatively well off, and they in fact can support economic activity in your they're effectively on retirement and may very well want to be able to enjoy their time, and they do so with a certain level of generous spending. And so finding that right mix is also important. But of course, at the same time, some countries are trying to encourage digital nomads, right? The rise of technology, meaning that individuals in some professions can work from anywhere around the world, is still a something that some countries are looking at in terms of trying to pull individuals in, and these things have their pros and cons, of course. One of the challenges with respect to those programs and anything that really has that type of system where you're trying to bring in individuals from other parts of the world who are high net worth individuals to spend in your country and to impact on your economy, that sometimes has an impact on your real estate sector. And we've seen it, of course, right here in St. Lucia in that regard. But many places are facing those challenges. I think in Spain recently, I was seeing one of the measures that they are using to try to deal with what is now a housing crisis and the difficulty of individuals who are resident citizens of Spain in being able to afford homes, is that they are now trying to price the properties that are purchased by non-nationals significantly higher than those who are bought by EU nationals and Spaniards. And they're doing so by, I think, putting 100% tax on those property sales. In the case of St. Lucia, we've used to have what was known as the Alien Landholdings License. That has, in some instances, apparently been sort of bypassed to some degree. And some people find loopholes and they do so by creating local companies which then purchase the properties instead of individual purchasing the property. But it is certainly something that we've got to consider in the mix, because what you can end up in a situation where your property is so very much sought after that it then becomes more challenging for the average individual to be able to afford a home in that country or in your country. So certainly there is no one fix in terms of dealing with the population crisis. Some countries have been seeing how they can try to encourage a growth in births, right? And that has had a mixed result in some places. And one of the critical elements that is pointed out is the cost of childcare. That is a major issue for as to why a lot of people don't decide to have more children, and that's one of the big costs. And so in many European countries, for example, they're looking and seeing how, in fact, they can make childcare more affordable. In some instances, childcare is even subsidized or completely subsidized. Interestingly, right here in St. Lucia, the government this year has attempted to tackle a little bit about the early childhood development. So your preschool age children, by providing some support with respect to preschools, I think $2,500 per preschool. But in addition to that, actually giving a subsidy, I think, of $50 per child per month for preschool costs. So it is certainly a really important aspect, tackling and making that period, that very critical period of 0 to 5 of every individual. How do you, in fact, make it a better experience, an easier experience for parents of these infants, toddlers who are just growing up? The absence of culture that is of infrastructure that is supporting children is also another major one. One can say perhaps kudos to the MP for Castries North, Mr. Stevenson King, who recently, I think, got installed at Carolee, a children's playground at Carolee Park. But these children's playgrounds are few and far between. There are so many communities that certainly require or need parks and play areas where children can, in fact, play safely. And certainly that is one of the things that has to be looked at in terms of this overall policy, in terms of how are we encouraging population growth. And certainly those are some of the big issues. The childcare, of course, one, the cost of maternity, that whole prenatal, postnatal period is also one of the things that was tackled under the universal health care to try to ease the burden of expectant mothers. And that, of course, is really also very, very critical for individuals who, if you are, in fact, wanting to try to increase the population. So there may be other ideas as to things that perhaps need to be done. I think in one Caribbean country at one point, and I don't know if it's still active or if it in fact ever got going, but I think it was perhaps at least included in a campaign manifesto, is the whole concept of providing some sort of a childhood endowment, if you want to call it that. And by that I mean you once you actually have a newborn, that child is provided with some sort of an endowment, which the government will eventually provide to them once they become age 18. So it might be that, and at that point, they would then be able to utilize that money for education pursuits or something like that. And that the idea, the thinking there is to sort of incentivize children coming up. And so that is also maybe something else that can be looked at. But it certainly is a major issue to consider. And direct policy interventions by countries are coming up with mixed results. But we do know that there is an overall shift in terms of culture that is occurring. Invariably, you're finding, of course, and there's lots of data that suggests that the more females become better educated and they are getting jobs, the idea is that they will, in fact, have fewer and fewer children. And so that is the issue is, of course, trying to ensure that it does not go to an extreme, as we are seeing in many, many countries around the world, and many developed countries as well. And of course, as the wealth of individuals increases as well, their interests and pursuits also tend to shift towards enjoyment, which perhaps may not involve having children. So let's take another call at this time before we end our program. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing, caller?
I'm fine, thank you. You said that the representative for Castries North did this play thing for Carolee.
Well, I think that's my understanding that there's actually, well, yeah, they recently installed a playground at Carolee Park.
Well, I just wish they would have done that in Leclerc because we have a square in Leclerc. I'm sure you know where the square is.
Yes, just after
And
the
it's
health
just
center.
this wall and it's a gate. And there are enough young children under the age of 8, on that age where that need a place to play. And this square is just this close. It's not even being utilized, not even for National Day, not for nothing. And that square has been there, I think, almost from since the 70s. But then why don't they do something if that's so it's a place where parents can go and sit there while they train, maybe put a slide, just put something because it's true we have the little refill on the court. But these grown men and young boys are there almost.
Oh yeah, little children wouldn't be able to survive there
They
at all.
just don't have, except this guy sometimes in school, but you have something on a Saturday early with children from the locally primary school, infant and primary, and other little children. But apart from that, the children don't get a chance to utilize that field so much. So I don't know why we have a square, and it's just there. Nothing is being put something in place so that children can go there on a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday, even when school closed, have a place they can slide, swing, maybe even the surrounding, maybe put something because some of the children have little bikes on where they can't ride the bike.
Right. Yeah,
we put it all around. They can maybe ride all around on some concrete surface, but do something. It's not for nothing. Because they need place to take the children because they won't go in on the field in the school because the school gates are closed when school is closed. So I think it is time that they do something with the square so people have a place on a Sunday, on a Saturday afternoon that they can go and sit there and let their children just run, do all sorts of things inside there. But if you cannot have a square and it's just there like that, it's not even much being done with the square actually at any time. And you need children to play, you need them to jump, you need them to run, you need them all things. But when you look at our roads and the sidewalks, there's not much for the children around the area to be has much to do. So I wish they would do something about that. I hope that maybe
that's a pretty good idea, caller, because as you're rightfully saying, I don't think it's getting very much use. There's a small gazebo inside of there, but there should probably be enough space to be able to set up a small playground in that space. Yeah.
And there's this thing where they say that's a stage, right? And use but I mean, even utilize that for something else for the children because it's not as if any shows is taking place there. So I'm hoping that they do something. As I said, the children are just all over the place sometimes, just running here, seeing them on the bikes they give them, just riding, but and it's sometimes just not safe. At least if the children are in a place where the parents can also sit down, because they have people that are selling outside the square. They have a lady that bakes and all sorts of things. So you can be there and still have somebody outside there that is selling that. You can have something to eat while you're there relaxing. So that's the fact that they have people selling out there. Why not have the square in a way that people can sit there and utilize it?
Right. Yeah, well, thanks for bringing up that point. And certainly, I think Leclerc is an area that has a lot of people living in it, and certainly you do have. Although some people will tell you that there are lots of retirees now in Leclerc and not so many children, but I hope that might be something that will encourage people to have families. Yeah, definitely.
But even the retirees want place to go to and sit and relax. They don't.
Well, that's true too.
If you have internet there, they can go and sit down there. They can just go and do something. But if it's because you find some of the retiree guys on the lottery field playing football.
Yes.
About,
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks very much for that. Where is there a preschool in Leclerc? Caller, you there? Okay, I think I think I do know that there are a few, in fact, now that I'm thinking about them, but private preschools around the area. Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks very much for those calls, and of course for your comments on Facebook Live as well. and we'll be back again tomorrow, another program for the week. And we do hope that you can join us for that. Of course, in the meantime, please stay safe and have a very blessed day. I'm your host, Calixte Jr., saying goodbye.